Dear learners, welcome to the course Human Resource Management. I am Dr. Anjali Desi, Faculty, School of Management. In the last session, we have seen the role of human resource management in the field of management and the changing role of HR managers and the globalized mechanisms and how far the globalization has impacted the human resource management field. This session, we are going to focus on this topic, strategic human resource management. Before moving on to know about the field of SHRM, we need to understand the term strategy. Strategy is a management term, as you all know. But the origination of this term has come from a Greek word that means commander-in-chief. Commander-in-chief, it was given in terms of an army perspective. Now we are discussing this in a management perspective that gives a definition of long-term action plan. So strategist is the Greek word that has given the meaning of commander-in-chief. Then it has been moved on to the language of English. Then it has been taken as strategy, which means long-term action plan. So here, strategic human resource management, how far this is different from conventional human resource management is, it's aligning the HR strategy with the business strategy. When I talk about SHRM, it's about aligning the HR strategy with the business strategy and so that I can achieve the goals of my organization. So this alignment was not there in the conventional HR strategies. So SHRM plays a very major role in terms of the alignment of HR strategy with the corporate strategy and how far the roles of HR managers has been changed as a strategic partner, which we are going to discuss in the today's session. Let's move on to the session now. Strategic human resource management has its features like goal setting, policy formulation and allocation of resources. And it's all performed at the top management levels. SHRM aims at fulfilling the long-term HR requirements of the organization, and it also focuses on the expansion of process capabilities. It is actually an interrelation between the business strategy. If you take inputs of formulating a business strategies, right? You can have specific HR strategies like recruitment, training and performance appraisal. So the SHRM, it's a kind of a strategy formulation task with the line managers, while the HR professionals, they play an advisory role here. So HR professionals as strategic partners will be giving you more amount of organizational effectiveness. And this connecting the HR strategy with the business strategy, that will develop the potential of the HR professionals and they can ensure that the organization possesses the adequate skilled employees, workforce, so that their sustainability will be there in the market. Why so much of emphasis is given for SHRM is due to the shift in the business field and due to this sweeping in globalization. And here the role of HR is, or the role of HRM is more of a proactive one rather than reactive. So they contribute more to the determination of overall corporate strategy. So it's entirely different from a conventional human resource management. And while we talk about conventional human resource management, I said it's more of a reactive one, where SHRM is more of a proactive one. You need to be proactive because you are running in a world where everybody is so competitive and you should mark your niche as a firm. As I already said, in SHRM, the HR managers, they act as strategic partners and their level of functions, they formulate and implement. So it's entirely a contribution is there for them. And they need to possess some value additions to be a good strategic partner. SHRM is something like you formulate and execute the human resource policies and practices and that possess the competencies and behavior of your employees, so that whatever the company requires as a workforce, they need to possess those skills and abilities so that I can attain the organizational goals and objectives. And what kind of differences SHRM and HRM has? So let me give that with an example of this firm Dabur. Once there was a time where all the Indian firms, they were realizing the need for strategic management in human resource department with respect to the context of sweeping globalization. So when there was so much of focus was given on competitiveness and operational improvements, organizations they started to just walk an extra mile to give shape to the HR strategies proposed by the HR managers. If you take many organizations, they always talk in terms of a strategic approach like recruitment or training or compensation and performance management. And you all know that Dabur is one of the largest fast moving consumer goods, which is also known as FMCG company in the country. And they have made so much of effort to gain a strategic advantage out of the human resource. So they made some initiatives to gain its HR policies with the corporate strategies to meet the growing needs of the business. So they have done several initiatives. Let me give you what kind of initiatives they have done. The first thing they have done is they had conducted a standardized induction process for all their employees across the country. And they have brought down the cost of recruitment through the introduction of structured employee referral programs and creation of a centralized employment database so that everyone can have an access control towards that. The second one is uniform post-induction training programs through the intranet for all the employees. Okay, so how they have conducted the induction process throughout by having this employee referral programs and centralized employment database so that all can have an access towards that. The second is like uniform post-induction training programs through the intranet for all the employees. So they can foster fresh talents. So they had conducted this one in the name of Young Manager Development Program, YMDP. So that the objective of this program is to conduct periodical management development programs, MDPs, either in the form of workshops or training sessions for both the senior and the junior managers. So the second strategic initiative they have taken to develop the human resource management is this one. The third, they have adopted the balanced scorecard for performance evaluation and strategy deployment of human resources. So they had a key performance indicator based on balanced scorecards, and they have identified and used it to evaluate the performance of the employees. The fourth one, they established assessment and development centers within the firms so that they can ensure the availability of equitable growth and opportunities to all the employees. So when you have assessment or development centers, you can go by knowing. So the assessment centers will give you enough knowledge about the availability of equitable growth and opportunities to all the employees. So those centers, they make us of scientific processes, and that strategically it will bring the best out of them. So that was the intention of Dabur. So this is called as about the Dabur way. So their strategic initiatives in the Department of Human Resource was known. It was widely accepted, and they have aligned it properly with the HR strategy and the corporate strategy. So the first, I'll repeat, they have conducted a standardized induction process, and they had maintained a centralized employment database so that everyone can have an access towards that data, and they have conducted an employee referral program And then second one is they have conducted young management development programs by having uniform post-induction training. After the induction one, it's a post-induction training program through the intranet of all the employees within the organization, and they have periodically conducted the management development programs, which is MDPs, in the form of workshops, in the form of training sessions, both for the senior and the young managers, not only for the senior young ones. And then they have adopted a balanced scorecard for the performance of evaluation and strategic deployment. And the key performance indicators were there. Based on that, they have assessed the performance of their employees. So these are all the ways they have adopted. When you talk about the models of strategic human resource management, there are different models. The first is the business model, business oriented model, strategic fit model, and strategic labor allocation process model. So we have three models here. All the models link the HR process to business strategy and performance. Let's start by knowing the business oriented model. So the business oriented model, its entire focus is about the competitive advantage of the firm. So what's the highlight of this model? As I already said, competitive advantage, right? Can you guess what is this link between competitive advantage? Now what will be the next focus will be? Of course, if they want to have a good competitive advantage in the market, they should have what? Value addition, right? Value addition is something that makes a firm to be competitive in the market. So SHRM here deals with HR system that creates and sustains the competitive advantage. So in fact, the entire HRM under this model, it involves decisions and actions that deal with the management of employees at every level of the business, not only in a particular level. So they are concentrating in all the levels. As this is a business oriented model, can it also be called as a holistic model? So the business oriented model talks very well about the model that has been involved in the objective of a competitive advantage, and the entire focus was being given for the value creation and HR system that creates and sustains the competitive advantage. So if it's a business oriented HR model, it's about the competitive advantage, value creation, and how the HR system be sustainable in the market. See, before going on to that, let me again tell you the conventional SHRM and the conventional HRM and the current SHRM has its own differences. So let me see here, as you see in this table, strategic human resource management is entirely based on a soft HRM approach, and it views employees as precious, as like human resources. So that's what SHRM is all about. In a conventional HRM, it's about hard HRM approach. So it's a kind of soft mechanism where they treated employees as the asset. Here, human resource management, it was a kind of hard approach. So they treated employees as tools of production and kind of headcount resources. Here in SHRM, they focused on business level outcomes. Human resource management, they focused on HR level outcomes. Here SHRM is very proactive in nature, and they always set a trend in the market. Conventional is reactive, and they follow the trend. They create the trend. SHRM, normal HRM, they follow the trend. So creators, followers. And here SHRM, they look to develop the overall strategic competencies of the organization in the HR perspective. And here it's about HR managers, they function at relatively a very low level of the organization. So HR managers, they operate with the higher level, here they operate with the lower level. And because they are part of decision making, right? So SHR managers, they always be in the top level management, they work with them. Here there is no role of a HR manager to be in the strategic decision making process. So of course they are with the lower level employees. And the operational dimension of the organization is the basic necessity of SHR. For normal HR professionals, it's like the operational aspects in the business is not a high priority one. In SHR, the HR strategies and the business strategies that effectively supplement each other during the formulation itself. Here they have the HR goals and targets that has to be set by the business strategy. SHRM, it gains a competitive advantage of human resource. Here it manages the employees in a very primary aim of human resource. That's a very high primary aim of the management. So here gaining competitive advantage is the prime aim. Here managing workforce is the prime aim in a conventional way. Now the strategic fit model. Strategic fit model is something where their focus is on managing the HR capabilities and resources to the opportunities available in the external environment. If you say strategic fit, where HR strategies are integrated with the business strategy. Okay, this is an integrated approach. So they have to support the development of HR practices like recruitment or training or compensation, performance evaluation, industrial relations. Everywhere, as we are linking the HR strategy with the business strategy, they have to complement each other. You have to understand this fact. So this complementing one another will help them to grow better. Then only there is a success in this integration approach. And we can say the strategic fit model, which can also be classified into two types. One is vertical fit and another one is horizontal fit. So what is vertical fit? Vertical fit deals with the alignment between the components of HR strategies of an organization and the essential features of business strategy. Horizontal fit is alignment among the components of the HR strategies of an organization. So vertical is like HR strategies of an organization, components of HR strategies of the organization, and then the essential features of the business strategy. So it goes like this. Horizontal strategy is more of within the HR strategies alone. And here there is one more model with respect to strategic fit is SLAP. SLAP is something like strategic labor allocation process. It's not the literal meaning of SLAP. SLAP, strategic labor allocation process. It is like strategic decision making on the part of HR managers. Like this method is feasible, and this method they have used this model in terms of several phenomena. A kind of an interdependence is there among the HR strategies and the business strategies, and with respect to the organizational strategies. There is an internal labor supply and demand of any organization. So it relates to that along with the strategy. So how the labor has been allocated, how the business strategies are. So HR strategies, business strategies and organizational changes were the concern of the SLAP model. And this is a model that highly acknowledges the human resource management as a continuous process. So it's a continuous process where you can balance the demand and the supply of a labor. And this is a very influential one where it can easily get influenced by the external forces like socio-cultural, economic, institutional, technological. So it requires the organization to develop a strategic solution so that they can assist the adaptation process. So this is something with regard to the HR managers. When this method is insisted, that the core business of HR managers is to ensure a balance between the demand for and supply of labor. Actually, every activity concerning the manufacturing process, if you say, they require number of tasks to be performed by people. So there is always a demand for labor in the firm. So what happens to meet this demand? HR managers, they need to procure people with the necessary skills and competencies so that they can carry out that task. The HR manager, what they can do, they can utilize the existing employees of the organization, or they can go for hiring new people from the external labor market. And this happens as a continuous process, and HR managers, they are constantly engaged in the process of procuring and allocating the labor within the organization. Now the next one is the SHRM. As I already said, how I mentioned the term strategies in a Greek perspective. So it's a combination of different words. Earlier it was derived from strategist, strategy, but it's commander in chief. And then it has actually a combination of two words like stratus, that stratus means army, and aging means lead, so commander in chief. But in management perspective, it is being taken a systematic and detailed plan of action. So systematic and detailed plan of action, a specific course of action taken by the higher level people in the organization to achieve the specified goals, and that is a pre-specified goal. What kind of steps they have to take in a strategic management process? As you see here, the first step is determination of vision and mission. The second one is analyzing the environment. Third is formulation of strategies. Fourth, implementation of strategies. Fifth, performance evaluation. Let me start by giving you the explanation of the first one. So the first step in strategic management, it requires a clear vision and mission statements of an organization. So before going on with the 5-step strategic management process, the first step itself they are discussing about the determination of vision and mission. Why we need to have a clear vision and mission? Then only we can travel in the process, when they can travel in the strategic management roadmap with the clear-cut idea, and we can reach the destination with the having it in mind that SHRM is about aligning a business strategy with the HR strategy to achieve the organization. So if I don't have a vision and mission properly, how can I achieve that? So when I talk about the 3 components of vision, it will be values, core purpose and visionary goals. So the vision statement of any organization, it conveys that the future it is aspiring of and the goal it wants to accomplish in the near and the distant future. Similarly, the mission statement, it actually declares the purpose of the organization. So as the vision is about the future perspective, here it's about the purpose. And the mission statement, it helps the organization link the activities to the needs of society, and even they can legitimize its existence. So if you take in strategic management, the mission and vision, it provides the framework for strategic planning. It actually gives you the direction in which the entire organization should travel, and it also helps the decision makers prioritize their activities. Right, so I will come to know what I have to do at a particular timeline. I can prioritize things. But at the first stage of the strategic management, they have to assess their position. In the last class when we were discussing about the role of HR managers, I said it. Where we are. So they have to assess the situation, the position. And the HR managers has to assess their position and the responsibilities, whether that is related to the vision, mission and goals of the organization. While the mission and vision of an organization can remain unaltered, the strategies can be changed in accordance with the changes in the environment. So it is not that mandatory that you should not change the strategies like vision and mission. Vision and mission is something like it can't be altered, but this is something we can change. So this is how you need to determine the vision and mission of the organization. That's the first one. The second one is analyzing the environment. Environment analysis, it actually requires collecting, analyzing, and you need to provide the information for any tactical strategic purpose. So when you will call it as a successful strategic management strategy, because you have to entirely depend on a greater extent on the ability of the managers you have to scan the environment with precision. So when you need to analyze the environment, it's not just analyzing, with precision, and it is actually essential for the managers. They need to be aware of the external environment so that they can understand the environment as a critical input of their strategic planning. While scanning the environment, the managers, they can look for changes in the environment. They also, the impact on the organization. So environmental analysis is something very important. It can be an external one or an internal analysis. Why I am saying external analysis is something like analysis of changes in the external environment and regard to the threats and opportunities. So you are properly assessing as an organization, as a HR manager has to do the work of analyzing the probable changes in the environment, and that will forearm the organization to face such changes effectively. Internal analysis is analyzing the existing strengths and weaknesses. So as you hear all these things, you might now get an idea of SWOT analysis. So strength and weakness is something that is related to the internal one, opportunity and threat that is related to the external one. And internal is like strength and weakness, and when I talk about the internal one, production facility, marketing techniques, management competencies, HR skills, strategic choices, so that can be of internal one. So while you analyze the environment, an organization either they opt for ad hoc scanning, in which it prefers a short-term and occasional scanning of environment. So it may also go for continuous scanning, but in which this environment is like analyzed for continuous or on a regular basis of parameters. The third is strategic formulation. The third step is strategic formulation, where it involves determining the course of action that is suitable for achieving organizational objective. When you understand the likely changes in the environment, so you have to formulate some course of action has to be done for achieving the organizational objective. So strategic formulation is something that determines the course of action that's suitable for achieving the organizational objective. So when you understand the changes in the environment, the managers, they need to develop a range of strategic alternatives. So their strength, their weakness, the opportunity and threat, everything they have to assess. And each and every organization, they can help its own alternatives depending on the situation. So there can be strategies called generic strategies, right? So that can be useful for a wide range of organizations. Generic strategies, they are formulated at the corporate level, business level, and also the functional level. So formulation of strategies is very important, and it can be changed. It can be changed in accordance with the changes of everything. And the next step is implementation of strategy. As far as we have given more importance to strategic formulation, now it's very important that you have to implement it. So the organizations, they have to ensure the fact that they can implement, it decides the changes required in the system. That effective implementation of strategy is very important. They can centrate the techniques required for the effective execution of strategies. So how they will do this? They can undertake activities like enhancing organizational capabilities, mobilizing resources, training and motivating the HR resources. But the implementation stage itself involves developing the capabilities of organization. You can steadily accomplish the strategies, distributing the scarce resources among the significant activities, establishing the necessary policies and practices that supports the strategy's execution, finally developing the affirmative organizational culture and responsive leadership. These are all the 4 stages or methods where they can go for strategic implementation. Developing the capabilities of the organization steadily to accomplish the strategy, distributing the scarce resources among the strategically significant activity, establishing the necessary policies and practices that support strategic execution, and developing the affirmative organizational culture and responsive leadership. So these are all the major points they need to take care of when once they go for implementation of strategy. Next is performance evaluation. So finally, in the 5-step strategic management process, performance evaluation is the final stage. So since strategic management is a continuous process, it's essential for the managers to continuously assess the performance of each strategy after its execution. So based on the performance, the organization, they can bring about necessary changes in the future strategies. They can constantly improve their strategies according to the market conditions. They can continuously change. Better ways of performing the existent activities that can emerge. Existing managers may be replaced with new ideologies and orientation, and the performance evaluation process can be maintained. So what kind of evaluation mechanisms? One is setting a performance standard, either in the form of tolerance limit at every stage. That's the first step in the performance evaluation. So performance standards or performance indicators will be there, and that tolerance limit will be fixed at every stage of the strategic management process. Second, assessing the actual performance of the implemented strategies after a reasonable time frame. Okay, whether they have been traveling in the same path or they are aligning with the strategies of the mission and vision and the goals of the organization. Third is comparing the actual performance of the strategies against the set standards to identify the performance gap. So actual performance of strategies against the standards they have fixed, so that we can find out the gap where they have lagged. So this is the actual performance, this is the expected one where there is a gap. So competency mapping they can do. Initiating necessary arrangements or adjustments if the gap exceeds the tolerance limit. We have a tolerance limit, right? And second thing is we are assessing the actual performance of the implemented strategy, and that too not suddenly after a reasonable time frame. The third is comparing the actual performance with the strategies, that is against the performance indicators or performance standards, so that we can find out the gap. But now what they are doing is, after finding out the gap, if the gap is exceeding the tolerance limit, right, chalo, we have to modify the strategy. You need to revamp the performance objective. You need to get better with the strategic execution and redefining the business vision and mission. That's what the 5 steps with regard to the performance evaluation. Now, what are the different levels of strategy? As you see in this diagram, we have corporate level strategy, business level strategy, functional level strategy. Corporate level strategy, growth strategy, portfolio, parenting. So this is the entire framework of the levels of strategy. So in strategic management process and organization, they can prepare strategies at 3 different levels. The focus and requirement of each and every strategy, it will differ depending upon the level at which those strategies are formed. So here we have major levels, and we are saying this is very internally consistent, mutually supportive and goal oriented. Corporate level strategy, by the term itself you would have understood, is a topmost strategy. So it usually deals with basic questions like how to create value for the entire organization. So value creation is very important. Even in the business oriented strategy, I said no, value creation, how they are marking their competitive advantage and niche in the market. The same way, here it is about value creation, how to create a value in the organization. So that's the objective of it. And what the top level managers will do, they make wide ranging decisions concerning the scope and direction of the organization. Specifically speaking, the organizations, they usually make decisions about the market or industry in which they should compete or product diversification. So through corporate strategies and organizations, they can decide about building organizational capabilities. So here corporate level strategy is about growth strategy, portfolio strategy and parenting strategy. When I said about the top level managements who make wide range of decision, keeping it in mind about the scope and direction of the organization, and they have this mindset of competing in the market, they have to make some decisions about the market with regard to all these product diversification and merger. So similarly, corporate strategies are like they decide about the building organizational capability. So growth strategy, it deals with the development and accomplishment of growth objectives. So it is actually involving concentration strategy. So diversification strategy, concentration strategy both come under growth strategy. When I say diversification and concentration, concentration is like adopted by any organization, like when the business in the existing industry is safe and it's profitable also and attractive too for further expansion. Now the organizations can implement the concentration strategies through a vertical or horizontal integration. I am again repeating, concentration strategy can be adopted by organizations who feels that their organizations are safe, profitable, attractive. So they can go on with this move of implementing the concentration strategy either through vertical or horizontal integration. What happens in vertical integration? Like the organization, they develop a strategy to expand within the existing industry and by taking over the function that has been performed earlier by the supplier. Okay, so vertical integration is about the existing industry taking over the function performed earlier by the supplier, so that are similar to the existing business activities, or like otherwise horizontal integration is like acquisition of additional business activities that are similar to the existing business activity. That is horizontal integration. Vertical integration is like developing strategies to expand so that within the existing industry you are taking over the function performed by the earlier supplier. So when this might happen, growth strategy is good in a good aspect when firms they may acquire competitors' business activities so that they can reduce the threat from the competitors. So in the diversification strategy, or as I already mentioned about the diversification strategy and the concentration strategy, in concentration strategy they are discussing about how the firms need to be safe, profitable and attractive, and they can move on with either the vertical or horizontal concentration strategy. In the diversification strategy, firms they try to expand their business or operation into new markets by introducing new products into the current market, by adopting both the strategies. So growth strategies are often carried out through mergers, acquisitions and strategic alliances. That's growth strategy. Portfolio strategy. It deals with determining the portfolio units of the business. It actually constantly aims revising the portfolio of business units, and it actually views each and every business unit as an investment for the organization. And it is complete aim is to get return out of every investment. So the purpose of portfolio strategy is to allocate the resources to the products that ensures a continuous success. So those products fetch greater return but with a higher risk. As the whole, the portfolio strategy strives to ensure that the collective profitability of all the business in the portfolio that enables the organization to attain its performance objectives successfully. And here the portfolio strategy comes under the growth strategy, and final corporate level, portfolio strategy comes under the growth strategy, portfolio growth, parenting amongst the corporate level strategy. So the last one is parenting strategy. Parenting is something like allocating resources among the different business units of the organization. So the last component of the corporate level strategy is parenting strategy. So that aims to allocate the resources among the different business units of the organization so that you can get the optimum efficiency. So you build an organizational capability among the business units of the organization, right? Here it's about a better utilization of resources and capabilities, and you are coordinating that with the different activities in an efficient manner. So these corporate level strategy, we have growth strategy, portfolio strategy and parenting strategy. Then next is business level strategy. See, the second type of strategy is business level, and it actually deals with questions like how to achieve competitive advantage in each business in which the organization is engaged. They may be having multiple product line, they will be involved in so many other businesses. So their entire concern is with the development of strategy for a single business organization, so that in case of any diversified business organization, the business level strategy they can formulate and for any kind of strategic business unit. Each business unit is treated as an independent unit and also a profit center. It can develop its own business level strategy in order to successfully compete in the market for individual products or services. So it focuses mostly on creating and sustaining a competitive advantage for the market. So factors like advanced technology or product features or superior HR skills, effective distribution capability or a good consumer service, convenience, that will give a competitive advantage to the unit. Two important components of business strategies are entry tactics and market position tactics. Entry tactics deal with the timing of entering into the market with a new strategy besides deciding the strategy. So the business unit should also decide the timing of its strategic move in the market. It can make a proactive move in the market by being the first to introduce. So when you are having two different components like entry tactics and market position tactics, as I already said, entry tactics, timing is very important of entering into the market, and that too with a new strategy. So they have to ensure before going on with the decision of going on with the strategy, they have to decide the timing of the strategic move in the market. As far as how they put importance to the planning of the strategy, this should also be considered, and that move should be a proactive move. Everybody will be that much of furious in competition, so your move and timing is very important, and being the first to introduce in the market is very much important. And it can also make a reactive move in the market. Again, that can be a part of a strategy through a swift response to the competitor who makes the first move. Even though if you are not making the first move, you can take the proper swift response from the person who has introduced, right? And market position tactics, it involves defending one's existing market share or grabbing the market share from the competitors. So depending upon the circumstances, the business units may adopt offensive tactics to capture the market share from the competitors. So it can also take up defensive tactics to protect the market share from poaching by the rivals. So as I already said in how we have discussed about the corporate level strategy, about the growth strategy, portfolio strategy and balancing strategy. Here we are discussing about the business level strategy, where the business level strategy is all about strategies of a good single business organization who are involved in different products, and it's a kind of independent unit. Every independent business unit requires a good strategy, and they are having some objectives in mind of giving good consumer services, how their advanced product features will be, their superior HR skills, their efficiency of capabilities and everything. So in the business level strategies, we have two components. One is entry tactics and market position, where the entry tactics is all about the timing of entry into the market and the efficiency of the strategy. So the amount of input we put in molding the efficiency of the strategy, the same kind of timing is also important to do the strategic move. And we need to be more proactive when we do it, or in doing the first entry into the market. Even though if you are not proactive, we are reactive, there has to be a swift response from the first move of your competitor. Then market position is something where defending one's existing market share, or you can grab the market share from your competitors. So when according to the circumstances, the business units they may adopt offensive tactics to capture the market share, and it can also take up defensive tactics. So once I said offensive tactics of grabbing the market share from the competitors, according to the situation, they can adapt offensive tactics, or defensive is like just protecting the market share from poaching by the rivals. I'm just safeguarding it so that nobody can poach it. The third level of strategy is functional level strategy. It's like some strategies that are made for the functional activities of the organization that are usually executable within a short period of time. So functional level strategy can encompass production, marketing, purchase, finance, HR, R&D. So every functional area will cover several tasks. At every instance, the HR function, if it includes recruitment, selection, training. So the functional level strategy, it has to address the issues whether to carry out the task or the training through in-house resources, or we can go for outsourcing. Sometimes issues may arise in each one of the functional areas. So the functional strategy should effectively supplement and support the corporate and business strategy. So it is very essential to ensure that all the strategies of the organization should contribute effectively for the accomplishment of the overall objective of the organization. So the high commitment management model of SHRM and how the strategic human resource management, it's been part of so many different levels. In the next session, we are going to focus on the different types of HR strategies and what is this benefit of going on a strategic approach to HRM, and what are the different barriers for an effective SHRM. And finally, we have some case studies to discuss and how the companies have adopted different strategic policies and initiatives, like we discussed today about the company Dabur. Okay, so I'll meet you all in the next session. Thank you for listening.